Warm welcome to everyone joining now. We are going to start in 1 minute. You still have 1 minute to grab your water, tea, coffee. We are going to start very, very soon. Thank you everyone for joining. We've got attendees from all over Europe, we hope, not just the panelists. The panelists are coming from Bulgaria, Germany, Hungary, Malta, Norway, but we'd like to also know where you are coming from. So meanwhile, we are waiting to start. We are going to start in less than a minute, but we've got so many people joining right now. So we'd like to give them also a minute to just settle, come here, arrive. So please just share where are you coming from. Share the city in the chat, share the town where you are coming from, share the country, whichever feels most best for you. We might not know your town, but for sure we are going to know your city or your country. So please, yes, we can see people from Romania, Greece joining.
Great, our partner countries are here. We have Spain also. Great,
Yeah,
great
that's
diversity.
amazing. Also Romania, Bulgaria. Thank you. Bulgaria has got a strong, some strong representation in the webinar. It's really great. Also Germany, Serbia. It's Greece. I'm Hungarian, living in Germany now, so I can contribute with two countries. We can see Greece also, lovely. I was wondering what's the weather like in Greece now. We already discussed that in Norway, it's super farming weather with some light rain. Also in Cologne, when I'm seated, it's also some rain, but it's super warm in Bulgaria. So I'm just guessing that it's in Greece also or Spain. Oh yeah, in Belgrade it's 35 degrees Celsius. That's wide. That's wide.
It's time for vitamin C on most of these countries we
Yes,
mentioned. Yeah.
and make sure you care for your water intake. We are going to spend 2 hours together. We have got lovely panelists round up for this. We have got, I can see people still joining. Meanwhile, we are waiting for people to join. Please share where you are coming from in the chat. It would be really lovely to see where are you coming. Please share the town, share the city, share the country, whichever feels more. 15 Celsius.
Okay, yes. Olive
Calibres.
fields, nice.
Yeah. And cloudy. Yeah, some people have got cloudy weather. Some joined from Thessaloniki, Greece. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining. Or Montenegro. Thank you. Thank you so much. We are quite hopeless in the webinar setting. You see that we can only communicate you via the chat. So I'd like to encourage you to share as much as possible in the chat because we are reading it. We'd like to get to know your ideas also during the whole sessions. Please just make sure that you keep communicating your questions in the chat. We are going to grab it and we are going to ask them later. So let's get started. We are here already. Most of us are here for a very, very long time because we had people joining very early, but I can see that most of the people could join already. So let's just kick it off and let's get started. We wanted to learn a bit about which sector are you representing? Where are you from? Are you from a government, a municipality, from the education sector? You are into climate protection, environmental change. You are coming from the sports industry. You are coming from the cultural sector, or any other, please share. Share what brings you here. What made you decide that you are going to spend these 2 hours with us here today? Okay, we can see sport for all, environmental NGOs. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, these are our partners from the project Placemaking for Climate Mitigation, which I'm going to say some words about so that people can get the whole idea behind this event and behind the project itself. So thank you very much for the support and being here today with us, making it real.
Yes, I can see many NGOs joining also. We can see people from academia, rural development community, youth empowerment, of course, education, again, super important. We are building these actions for the future, and the future is built right now and is built also with our youth. Okay, also city council education. Thank you so much. Thanks. We can see that there is a strong representation from different sectors. It gives us a great mix of people together. We are wondering what brings you here. So out of the many things that you could have spent with your time, these 2 hours today, what made you come here? What is the thing that you would like to do here or learn here? We'd like to understand so that maybe we can serve you better. Finish the sentence. Why are you here today? What brought you here? What is your motivation? Yeah, many people
Yes.
already thanking you, Veselina, for being the organizer and bringing us together. This is really amazing.
It is
Thank you
my
so much.
pleasure. I am excited as you are, maybe even more. I'm so happy to hear what our speakers have to share. The topics are so diverse and they're all engaged in our common topic that is here, climate mitigation, climate change. And we're going to see through different lenses of the different sectors how we can be active and how we can make changes that are actually approachable and that are possible within our communities, not only in the policy making structures and approaches, but here in the community of the places where we live and the people that we share our places, our life, and our activities as well. So it is my pleasure. Thank you so much too. We have so much more. Okay.
Yeah, we can see
Helen.
that there are people to see that how without barriers we can make actions. Also to take action for the environment today. Yes, that's thank you so much for emphasizing this because
Another group.
it needs action today and not
Mhm.
tomorrow. I mean, we are in the last minute, right? Sorry,
Yes,
Veselina.
another great response from Magdalena, making students realize that if we don't take action for the environment today, our world might not live long. So it is really important to engage young people. What we have done so far within the project also shows that the young people have opinion, have ideas, have visions about things, but they need a bit of more support and trust within their local community once again in order to take actions. So events like this and projects like this are actually giving the floor to the people. So exactly, this is one of our main points. Great.
Yeah, we can see that also people are here to show how they can, or also to learn how they can connect local and neighborhood actions and also how to
Mm-hmm.
make it scalable and strategic. This is one of the key actions why we are here together to show it to you. Okay. Thank you so much. I'd like to just really quickly, now that we know why you are here, to set the expectations very quick. So this webinar is going to last for less than 2 hours now. We've got 4 amazing speakers. They bring a beautiful mix of experience in making local communities have a scalable action, which is also strategic. They are coming from Germany, Hungary, Malta, Norway. It's all going to be amazing. Whatever you feel like you have got a question, please just type it in the comment. Also, you can use the Q&A section. And yeah, let's get started. We are going to share some links with you also in the chat. So keep an eye for that. And let's get started with telling you a bit more about what this project is about. So I'm going to pass the ball to Veselina, who will explain what this project is about and what BGB Active is doing.
Hey again. I hope you see the screen of my presentation as well. You hear me pretty well. Okay, so first of all, I'm so happy to have you here today. Hello to everyone, because I can see that other people are still coming. I'm Veselina. I'm a part from the association BGB Active, and it's wonderful to welcome you all today. A huge thank to our project partners from Among Greece and Association for All Suceava from Romania. And a special appreciation to Kati, who is going to be facilitating this session. And of course, last but not least, to our experts who are going to share some truly exciting approaches and tools for climate mitigation. Before we dive in, I want to quickly share the heart of the Placemaking for Climate Mitigation project. We brought together the power of the placemaking, where the community is the expert and the true expert, with the core values of the CERV program. Which champions open, right-based, democratic, equal, and inclusive societies. Essentially, it's all about igniting a passion and making an environmental change. Just a second, I don't know, my slides are not changing. Yes, this is actually the heart of the project. I want to share with you what we've done so far, what we went through from the beginning of the project so far. Through the project, we've hosted a series of dynamic social activations across Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece, our partner countries, where we had engaged in a fantastic number of more than 400 people, participants in tackling climate change on spot, right in their own community. For example, in Romania, citizens openly share their personal stories about climate emergencies and how they affected them, and brainstormed concrete actions their communities could take to slow down the climate change. For example, our partners in Greece invited citizens to share their experiences and hopes for their urban streams. Participants teamed up to identify what motivates them, what concerns them, and what barriers they face in getting involved in civic and environmental activities. Together, they co-created an amazing proposals, envisioning streams as safe, accessible, and vibrant public spaces. The discussions really highlighted the need for a shared plan between citizens and public authorities that recognize urban streams not just as flood infrastructures, but as everyday public spaces with ecological, cultural, and social importance. And in some truly hands-on activities, by the way, even children participated in creative workshops, igniting playful and inclusive ways to use these spaces. And this is from Greece. Over here in Bulgaria, we heard directly from citizens about environmental protection. They share their own environmental practices and the challenges they may face. Because sometimes we want to do the right action, but the environment is actually not helping us a lot to do so. Many pointed to plastic and cigarette butts as major pollutants and suggested solutions like more containers, fines, and better control to encourage separate waste collection. Young people expressed a keen interest in environmental initiative, but unfortunately, they noted a lack of opportunities in their own communities. Citizens also came up with fantastic ideas for improving areas that are within their community. Another thing that has already been done, which is very important and gives a really good idea, was a survey, once again, across the partner countries, Bulgaria, Greece, and Romania. What we found out is clear. The public truly understands the importance of environmental protection and supports stronger climate action. However, mistrust, a lack of awareness, and issues with policy enforcement remains significant hurdles. To truly make progress, we need to bridge the gap between the environmental policies and citizen engagement, ensuring that climate action is not only understood, but also actively supported and implemented right at the local level. We from BGB Active, and I believe our partners as well, we are deeply inspired by the One Health concept. This is a holistic approach improving people's well-being, founded on the understanding that the health of an individual is deeply connected to the health of the society, the nature, and thus to the entire ecosystem. Because truly, when we take care of one, we take care of everything. And today, with our incredible expert speakers, we will be exploring creative ways to environmental and climate challenges to make them more understandable and approachable through the powerful lenses of culture, sport, social work, placemaking, and ecology. So thank you so much for your time and attention. I wish you all a truly engaging and a fruitful session. Thank you. Kara?
Thank you, Veselina, for setting the tone for this. So really today's webinar is all about how communities can respond to climate change together.
Exactly.
And as you listen to all of the panelists, just think about what this could mean in your own community. What is the thing that could be implemented? And please, our only option to get your opinion is via pause and chat. So please go and extensively use the chat, gather all your thoughts and questions. And now, before we start with our first presenter, Karim, let's just quickly gauge the room that what do you think is would be your first priority if you were to start a local wellness program? Would you invite local residents to co-design it, or secure long-term funding, or prove its impact with data? Make it fun and flexible. Keep it simple and low cost. What would you start with? Let's just take a moment to think about it. And I am sure that Karim will give you many food for thought to get to know a bit more ways to think about community actions in just 1 second. Thank you. Thank you so much for your answers. And yeah, let's just kick it off and collect all your questions because after the 15-minute presentation, you will have options to ask your questions, and Karim will answer all of those either immediately or at the Q&A section. So Karim, I'd like to give the floor to you.
Thank you so much, Kata and Veselina, to invite me, and happy to talk to you all. I will share my screen now and then give you a 15-minute talk on local opportunities to be physically active and how we can create those by at the same time doing good things for people and the planet. Yeah. So I hope you see my first slide now, and now you see my second slide. So yeah, I guess I'm here at the Department of Sports Science in Erlangen, Germany, and we are also collaborating center for the World Health Organization on physical activity and public health. So we have a long track record on working on issues of inequality and social justice, and taking always a public health approach to our actions and projects and how to promote physical activity. And now in the last few years, we have seen a profound shift in the concepts we use. Yeah? When we talk today about health, we no longer mean individual health or population health, but much more often, as Vasilina referred to, we use concepts such as One Health or planetary health or eco health. And that is pretty much because we realize healthy people on a dead planet, that will not work. Yeah? And we all know the issues of climate change. We know the issue of microplastics, loss of biodiversity. Yeah? So I believe it's appropriate for the whole field of public health and also health promotion to use it from now on when we talk about health, one of those more holistic approaches. And it really doesn't matter that much if you take One Health or planetary health. They're all going in the same and in my belief, right direction. So now, what does that mean when we promote health enhancing physical activity? Yeah. It's if you look now at sport and exercise and all the things we do, it opens up a second dimension. A lot of times in the past, we've just told people, hey, you know, every step counts. Yeah, do something for your health. Go drive to the next nature park. Yeah, or have a nice vacation. Go to a yoga retreat. Yeah, fly there. It will be good for you. But that misses the planetary dimension. A lot of times, sports and exercise and activities we do are maybe good for the people, but probably more bad for the planet. Sometimes, and you see the blue bubble here, sometimes we tap into those win-wins. And that is things are good for people and planet at the same time. And active transport, walking, cycling, rather than taking the car is one of those things. Urban gardening to reduce the risk of heat islands. But a lot of activities that we talk about are not so good for the planet. And I have a few examples for you here. And it's the land use, the equipment, the energy consumption. A lot of times the transport, people fly or take the car to engage in physical activities. Yeah, and the golf course, you see the picture here. Yeah, it uses a lot of space, where we could grow things, put solar panels up, whatever. It uses pesticides, fertilizers. Yeah, you see the ski slopes there. Artificial snow that we need more and more due to global heating. Eats a lot of energy. Uses a lot of water resources. Nothing is growing under the slopes in summer. That's really a burden on the planet. And I have a golf ball with me. I don't know if you see it. They did a study in spring of this year, how many golf balls get lost per year on our planet. It's 1.5 billion. And that's a lot. Yeah, and you can say, well, that's more of a fun fact. A golf ball is a golf ball. Yeah, then it lies around somewhere. But they contain a lot of forever chemicals. And then they release those forever chemicals in the environment. Yeah, and it goes on and on. Yeah, Wimbledon, the tennis tournament, that will start in a few weeks. They need tennis balls, 54,000. Yeah, and you just throw them away after a few minutes. And that's the reality we face. And so what do we do with this? Yeah, so if we do sport and exercise, how can we consider still the planetary footprint of all of this? You know it from nutrition. To eat healthy and be good for the planet, to eat regional, seasonal, and organic. Yeah, these are the foods you should buy. And the same is for sport and physical activity. Do your sport regional. Don't take the car for longer trips. Don't fly. Do it seasonal. Then you don't need the heating of the indoor pool, for example. And do it with little equipment. And then you can really reduce your carbon footprint and be good for people and planet. And that is the concept we use now. And we started those projects that I will talk about already 20 years ago. And so at that point, we didn't worry much about planetary health. We did what everybody else did. We we just promoted physical activity. But now looking back, we see, whoa, those projects are really good because they all have at the end a low carbon footprint for what we do. And so that is nice. And I will talk about the experiences we have with 2 projects here. And we run them for many years. The one that is called Gestalt tries to reach older people to physical activity and exercise programs, in particular older people who are lonely, who are socially isolated, who are very sedentary. And on the right-hand side, the picture, you see that is our earliest project that we started in 2005. It's called BIG, Movement as an Investment for Health. And here we try to promote sport and exercise among women who are in difficult life situations. And that can be that they come from an ethnic minority, are migrants, but that can also be that they face low income, poverty, are unemployed, or are single raising. Yeah, so it's a very diverse group. And what we do, I will talk about in a minute. But in general, when we try to set up exercise programs for those different populations, so the older people or the women in difficult life situations, we always use 4 elements. One is co-producing a lot of the things we are doing. And the second is from the start of having a very strong focus on durability, sustainability over time. We support communities in setting up the programs and then sustaining them over time, because only then we will achieve a public health impact. And then in order to achieve a public health impact, it's obviously great if a program runs well in 3 or 4 or 5 communities, but the public health impact will be quite limited. And so we try to scale. Yeah. And over the years, we have at least managed that the big project runs, at least started to run in 25 communities, and Gestalt will achieve at about the same number in a couple of years. And that really helps to create an impact in different communities and for a lot of people. And the 4th one is that we do a more rigorous scientific evaluation, also sometimes participatory with the people involved, to really demonstrate and show, have the evidence ready, yeah, and be able to show that things work. I will go through the 4 points now in a little bit more detail. Yeah. And co-production is never easy, a lot of times unpredictable, but it's the only way forward. Yeah. So in particular, the women that want to be more active, we bring them to the table together with stakeholders and local experts, and then we facilitate those meetings and ask very simple questions to the women. What do you want to do? How can we help you set this up? And obviously, no magic. Yeah, they say, well, we need childcare. We want exercise classes that are free of charge or have a low charge. We want them close to our homes. Yeah, and then we have the experts on board, also sometimes members from political parties, and they help implement this. And because the stakeholders, experts are involved, they also develop an ownership and then want to sustain the programs. Durability over time, we push from the beginning and tell communities, hey, we are here to support you. We have project funding. You get a little bit of money, but in 2 or 3 years, we will be gone and you got to do it alone. Yeah? And you see the map here shows for this big project, the one with the women, how well we did in sustaining activities over time, over the years. That yellowish indicates that when the project started and when communities were not able to sustain things. And you see it's a mixed bag for us. Sometimes after years and years, the projects are not continued on a community level. But in the first row, Erlangen, you see sometimes it's running since 20 years now already. And I will later talk maybe a little bit, if I have time, about the factors. Yeah, why does a project that run for 8 years in a community suddenly fail? Sometimes simply because the person is retiring. Yeah, and we have no control what's happening after that. Yeah, sometimes very discouraging for other scientists. Yeah, and yeah, you see then that how we scale things, yeah, and how the one project has grown over the years. And I guess I have a slide for the other project. Yeah, so you start in one community, you acquire funding to transfer the project to another 5 communities. Yeah, and then you go to another funding agency and beg for money to transfer it into another 5 communities. For Gestalt, this one here, the older people, it's cool. We now started a project to transfer the exercise programs to 6 more rural communities. And that is interesting because rural communities are very different in Germany compared to the cities. Mobility issues come up, and in particular for older people who are not very mobile, maybe at all. And then evaluation, yeah, and that is again from the project with the women. Yeah, we were very lucky. We got from the Federal Ministry of Health a big grant to go back 15 years in time and interview people and communities. Yeah, also why did it fail? Why did it succeed? And as part of this, we could interview 350 women who took part in the exercise programs. And we did this, a lot of them have a migrant background. We did this in 4 languages. And we had to build trust to get them fill out the survey, but we managed. And amazingly, yeah, if they join our courses, they stay in average 4 years. And that's a long time. Yeah. And you see, we can almost double the percentage of the women who then fulfill the physical activity recommendations, kind of. Here it's the 2 hours of sports that they do. And if women are in our programs, 80% of them say, my health has improved since I joined you. And that's great. That's great news. Yeah. So it's co-produced programs. And if you manage to set them up, they fulfill the needs of the population you are targeting, and then people stay and feel better and healthy. And it's good for the planet because those things, those programs have really a low carbon footprint. They are very local. Yeah, they don't need much equipment. Yeah, and that's exactly what we want. Lessons learned. Yeah. Sometimes we talk about hard to reach populations. Those women, those older people are not hard to reach. They just need structures, programs that suit their needs. And as soon as you have them, they come and stay. Sometimes it's more hard to change those structures to fulfill their needs. Yeah. And yeah, you can have programs that at the same time promote health equity and are at least not very bad for the planet. If you set up exercise programs locally, co-producing them, the effects for the people are always the same. They benefit tremendously. They feel better. They have social contacts. For the older people, the social contacts are even more important than the exercise. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. But then if you go through co-production, what will happen, you never know. Yeah, sometimes I marvel at why certain projects fail in a community or succeed. I'm still surprised after 20 years. We can't predict it. And for scientists, that is makes me unhappy. I want to predict it, but I can't. But maybe that's the magic of things. I guess that's what I wanted to share with you. Looking forward to questions. Back to you, Katja.
Thank you so much, Karim. It was super, super rich and probably stirred up some ideas and questions. We already have one. So we'll open it up in just a minute. Please, also, if you have got question, put it in the Q&A or to the chat. And we are going to ask from Karim. The first question is, I don't know if you can see it or not. It's a long one, so I'm also going to share with you in the chat so that you can you
Yeah,
can see?
no, thank you for the question. Yeah, so the question was about how do we incentivize stakeholders to take
Exactly.
part in the project? Yeah, we are a little bit lucky, not always, but these days we have sickness funds on board. And in Germany, for those sickness funds, it's mandatory to spend some money on prevention and health promotion. And now we can go to communities and say, hey, do you want to do the project? The sickness funds will fund you at about half a position in your administration for 3 years. So that is an incentive. The communities get money, for example, in the sport or health department, but they also have to co-pay a little bit, and that is a barrier. So they don't get the money totally for free, but in average have to spend 10, 20,000 euro of their own money. Yeah. But this is a nice mechanism that gets communities on board. And now for the project with the rural communities, we acquired, we did a call and asked communities to join, and we got 60 six or interested communities to fill the 6 slots that we have. So when they learned more, a lot of them dropped off, but we still have the luxury position to have now more applications than project slots. But that also means it needs more money. Money is a good incentive to get people on board. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And who do you think, Karim, needs to hear your message the most? So is there a group of people who need to really hear what you are saying?
Well, I guess partly I preach to the converted, right? Yeah, we are all convinced that co-production is the right approach. Yeah, I think what is really maybe interesting in you is that you can use the whole approach really to push the message that a lot of times it produces things, actions that are climate friendly in itself. And that is the beauty of things. If you involve people on the local level, yeah, they will more naturally come up with things that are also good for the planet. And I guess that's a message for all of us to push in the future.
Yes, so true. So local community events are not cool stories or cute stories. They are scalable and strategic events that we can learn about. Okay, we have got one more question for you, Karim, now, and let's keep the rest then for the end of the whole panel discussion section. So the next question would be that how important is physical activity in a One Health approach? Is it recognized by other sectors? Is it rather agriculture, medicine, business referring to One Health?
I mean, I feel it has a key role to play, in particular, if we talk about active transport. Yeah. We know that traffic emissions are stubbornly high, in particular in Europe, and account globally for 25 to 30% of all emissions. That's crazy. And here, obviously, getting people out of the car and on bikes and on the sidewalks is highly important. But then, in order to do so, we have to make cities very people friendly. And a lot of times they are car friendly, and we got to change this. And this also protects the vulnerable groups, older people, children who are a little bit slower maybe in traffic. Yeah. So I believe that is a key issue that we have to push when we take a One Health approach to physical activity promotion. Active transport, get rid of the cars in cities, get rid of SUVs. Yeah, terrible, big, fast things that kill people and are terrible for the planet. Yeah, I guess that's the take I think on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karim, for all the interesting insights. If you have another additional question, Karim will stay with us until the very end, so we can still get back to your questions. Please just write it in the chat or the Q&A. And now we'd like to move on and present you a next talk. Before that, we'd like to get some ideas that how do you choose active or eco-friendly transport in your daily life? How often do you always do it? Of course, I walk, bike, public transport, do public transport everywhere, or I do only sometimes and it could improve, or rarely because old habits die hard, we all know, or you never thought about this before. So we'd like to know how you are standing right now. And with that, we are going to pass the board to Reka and then listen to her presentation. We'd like to give you a few more minutes to answer this. Also would like to see your answers before Reka starts to talk. So maybe she can also address your current situation as well. So, how often do you choose active or eco-friendly transport in your daily life? Always, sometimes, rarely, or never?
So, hi everyone. Kata, this is a question for me, right?
I know this is for everyone, and then let's see what they answered. So hopefully they answered the poll question already, and then Rumi can pull it up, and let's see what people do. Maybe they will also get some ideas from your presentation if the answer was not always. Let's see. Let's see what they answered. Rumi, can we pull up the poll answers already?
Yes, she's working on this. Yes, here it is.
That's amazing. So in this bunch of people, which is more than 100, so this is a super amazing result. 52% of the people always walk, bike, or take some kind of public transport, and there is 45% who do sometimes take active or eco-friendly ways. So with that, I would like to give the floor to you, Reka. Thank you so much.
Superb. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Reka Veres, and I'm a health enhancing physical activity focal point for Hungary. So I'm dealing mostly with the promotion of health enhancing physical activity, but I was also heavily involved in one of the Erasmus Plus projects, which was called City Green Go. And I would like to share the outcomes of this project with you because I think it will be beneficial and it is a good tool for engaging communities, more especially grassroots sport event organizers and the participants of the grassroots sport events. Do you hear me well? Do you see the slides? Superb. So this project had 5 main international partners, and it was led by the Budapest Sports Service Provider company. And you see familiar partners like ISCA, Sport and Citizenship, Sport and Sustainability International, and we had the Italian Research Institute, it was called Esinova. And we wanted to engage and empower the grassroots sport event organizers who are promoting health enhancing physical activity with, let's say, green knowledge, practical and also easy to understand green knowledge. This was the main mission of the project, and the reason why we have chosen this is obvious, is the inactivity and the urbanization trends. The main output of the project is a so-called toolkit on eco-friendly grassroots sport initiatives in urban settings. This is, I would call, somehow in between lecture book and the workbook. You will see why I tell it. This is like trying to teach the readers themselves about the green aspects and also empower them with practical tips and tricks how to apply these aspects during their everyday life and event organization. We believe that reading the books is not only enough, so we have decided to try to support some kind of workshop organizations to learn the content of the toolkit. And we have 2 itineraries, one for online workshops, one for on-site workshops. I encourage you, if you want to learn the content of this toolkit a bit in more detail, then visit our website, the citygringo.eu, and you can download these resources, the itineraries and the toolkit also from there. So let's see a little bit the content of this material. This is starting with the description of the state of play in terms of physical activity and inactivity, urbanization, climate crisis, and urban sports responsibilities to go green. And we also try to highlight the benefits of focusing on this topic during grassroots sport event organizations. Benefits like social engagement, better environmental literacy, better connection to nature, more livable places, supporting social equity, and better health. And also, this would be one of the tricks, because I usually think that the greener is the more expensive, but if you do it clever enough and plan it in advance enough, then you can shift from costs to benefits. Yeah. Then the core lecture of this toolkit is based on 7 carbon footprint reduction principles. And these are, as you see, I'm just reading out loud them: biodiversity, catering, mobility, waste reduction, sustainable materials, water conservation, energy. These principles are appearing during an event organization, and we have grouped our tips and tricks around these key principles, and also try to phrase very easy to understand practical checklist items that are within the framework of these principles, so that the event organizers may go through these items and see whether my event is fitting in that, or how could I change and make it more greener. And I think the most practical and most valuable resource is the step-by-step guide, which is having 5 main steps. And I'm pretty sure that the most 2 important steps are the first 2, the preparation and the planning. Because if you want to organize a sustainable, eco-friendly grassroots sport event, then you will need partners. But it's step 3, as you see. But to find the partners, you have to plan who are the partners, which services you want to have from those partners. So all the big decisions are made during these 2 phases, the preparation and the planning. And then after that comes building practically the partnerships, communication. I have dedicated a slide to it. I will come back to it. And monitoring and evaluation. So just without getting into too much detail, for example, during the planning phase, you can put the questions: what is the right venue? How transportation is ensured to the venue that you will find. I would like to mention one concrete example, because during one of the events last year that was organized a little bit outside of the city, and public transportation was not the best to get there. We have organized a community run to get from the city center to the venue, and this was also communicated in advance to the potential participants. And this was the way how we wanted to engage the communities, wanted to educate them about a little bit about the fact that they are making it really active and green, and also to help to avoid car traffic. Then the second question: how can you optimize the food and beverage choices? This needs to be also selected and decided before the event itself, during the planning phase. So you need to consciously select the service providers, and also about water bottles. If you do not want to produce a lot of plastic waste from beverages, you need to communicate that there will be water points where your water bottles can be used, maybe even with the help of a map. Of course, what is the appropriate waste management strategy? You need to communicate to your participants also before the event that this will be a mission of the event. About communication, I think this is one of the main capacities, one of the main powers of those events, because at grassroots sport events, you have people. You reach the people with important messages, and it's important to avoid greenwashing. So no exaggeration, be transparent, be honest, true, clear, and measurable when you try to communicate how green is your event. But it is really also important to avoid, as I learned, green hushing, which is being green, but not making it visible and not communicate it about to your clients, participants, partners. So just on a solid evidence-based level, let's say, but make it clear that you are paying attention to these principles and make also your participants prepared to these aspects. And at the end, I would like to bring you one concrete example, which is also very very fitting into the principle of placemaking in a green way. Because in 2022, Budapest decided, the city of Budapest decided to close the wharf of the Danube, the road next to the Danube, and excluded the cars from this area. And during the weekend, it is freely usable by the residents. And step by step, it has become a physically active place. Also, me with my family, we go there quite very often by biking or by roller skating. And you see that this is also one of the ways how you can engage communities. You can communicate that this is really eco-friendly, and you do not even need to communicate because it's so obvious by only participating in any of the events there, you will feel this atmosphere. So if you are interested, please go onto our website. You can download the toolkit. And also one of the most important things is a separate checklist, as I have mentioned, where you can check concerning your own event the different elements and aspects concerning catering, mobility, energy, biodiversity. And I also would like to thank at this platform to Karim, because he was a huge help of preparing this checklist. And actually, I think he is one of the pioneers who has dedicated attention to this topic, and he has published a publication about it maybe in 2022. Karim, I'm not sure about the year, but it was the base for our checklist, and we try to improve it. And if we will be lucky, we might go for a second round of the City Green Go project with the participation and coordination of Karim's university. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much for your attention. I give the floor back to Kata.
Thank you so much, Rika. It was really, really amazing. I've put two links into the chat. One goes to the toolkit and the other one is the checklist. So you can directly grab it. All the materials that Rika mentioned in her talk. Let's see if we have got questions. So for sure, you might want to write down all of your thoughts, questions that you were thinking while Rika was talking. So please, this is the time. So share your questions in the Q&A or in the chat, and then Rika can answer. Meanwhile, we are waiting for the others. I would like to ask that what is the biggest misconception that even sports event organizers might have regarding sustainability? So what would be the first thing that you would say that we need to address?
I think I go back to this thinking that the greener is the more expensive, because it's also a questionable aspect still in my mind. While we're trying to organize a big grassroots sport event, then we have recognized that, come on, yeah, it's very good that waste management, selective waste collection is there, but come on, you need to have licenses, you need to have all the bins, and you need to have a contract with the service provider who will transport the selectively collected bins. And then we have realized, oh, we need to pay for a dedicated company for that. So in this case, it turned to be more expensive. But then we had examples from the contrary. that here is a love brand in Hungary. It's called the Ultra Balaton. When people are running around the Balaton Lake, which is 200-kilometer distance, and the organizer decided not to provide any plastic drinks and plastic cups, but ask the participants to ensure it for themselves. Because he said, my obligation is not to provide plastic cups with water, my obligation to provide water. And he provided water, and the participants managed to bring their own stuffs. And he said finally it was a save in the costs. So in a way, I think it belongs to this questionable part. Who is thinking it's more expensive? Who is thinking it's less expensive? I'm still thinking on it.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, it all boils down to the planning, right? So preparation and planning, because this also meant a bit more of planning in advance and thinking. Yeah, very valuable. Thank you so much. Are there any more questions to Reka regarding this topic? Okay, it seems that you answered everything in your in your talk already. So let's just move on because we have got Cynthia from Malta presenting next. And we again, before she starts to present, would like to know your opinion on some physical activity that you are doing daily. So let's just quickly put, yes, we've got this poll on where do you get most of your daily movement from? Would like to know if it's come from doing daily chores or errands, walking to public transport, or you actually go to planned workouts or sports, you are playing with your kids or pets, or honestly, you are not doing much of the movement. So we are interested in how you are doing movement at the moment, and let's see how our next presenter, Cynthia, is going to make you maybe rethink your movement or what considers movement and how movement can be connected to sustainability a bit more. So I'm going to give you just a few more seconds to read the question, which is about where do you get most of your daily movement from? And then I'd like to ask Rumi to show us, because I'm interested about, we are here, 100 people, where do we get our daily movement? Are people similar to me? And they try to collect it by daily chores? Or yes, I think there are many people similar to me who consider that we are doing also daily movement via chores or walking to public transport, but there are 31% who are actually doing planned workout and also playing with their kids and pets. And a few people do not much movement, but that also, I mean, what is considered not much, different for everyone. So there is much things to learn. Cynthia, I would like to pass the floor to you because we are keen to learn more.
Okay. Shall I answer the question?
Yeah. Also, if you want to reflect, did this surprise you? What the people answered?
Well, not really. I mean, for example, myself, I try to walk as much as possible to run errands. Well, through my presentation, you will understand Malta is a very car-centric country, so sometimes it's not even worth it going out with the car because, like, for a 10-minute walk, you could get faster and quicker than actually getting into a car. So most of the time I do my daily physical activity just by walking to run errands, but I also do some planned activity.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
Sounds amazing.
So maybe I shall start sharing my presentation.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, can you see my presentation and can you hear me?
Yeah, so good.
Okay,
Yes,
so we're
yes.
ready to go?
Exactly. We can't
Absolutely.
wait. Can't
Okay.
wait.
Okay, so thank you first of all for inviting me to share with you this initiative, and thanks everyone for joining. I hope that maybe the next 10 minutes would spark some interesting conversations and inspiration as well. My name is Cynthia. I come from Malta. I'm the founder and director of a very small NGO. It's called Move. And our work is about inspiring healthy and active lifestyles, both for obviously the people and the planet. And here we are. I would like to share with you one of our initiatives. The initiative is Move for Trees. This initiative is a bit unique because it's not funded from EU funding or from big funding, but it's funded through a small contribution from the HSBC Bank Foundation. And then there is the input as well of the community, which is not necessarily monetary. It's not about money, but it's about their time, their energy, and their motivation to change and transform things. So, okay, why trees, why move, and why now? Guess this picture says it all. As maybe already mentioned a few minutes ago, Malta is a very car-centric country. The infrastructure doesn't support any sustainable or active mobility. And we do not have a very reliable public transport system. So everyone in Malta uses a car for their daily chores, errands to go to work. And every member of the family owns a car. Basically, if you're 18, the first thing you do, you just go and buy a car. And this is not obviously sustainable. And I do not want to go into the statistics, but this is the situation. Like we have 77% of car dependency, which is one of the highest in Europe. We have a very high obesity rate, one of the highest in Europe, I must say, even with the kids. We only have 2% of tree cover. And this is because, although obviously because we are a small country, but I would say hundreds and thousands of trees are being lost every day due to continuous construction. We have the fourth worst air pollution exposure in the EU, and around, I would say, 600 people die prematurely every year due to disease caused by air pollution. Obviously, there is more and more to this, like the budget that we need to address all these health issues. So I would say this is the why we created this initiative. It wasn't an easy one because, I mean, when you do not have an infrastructure that support active behavior and sustainable behavior, and people are so dependent on their cars, like it's almost impossible to get them to use alternative mobility options. So we thought about, trying to create something that inspire, something that everyone can communicate with our message about what we are trying to say, something that everyone can be part of. Because, I mean, if we are promoting walking, I mean, everyone can walk. It doesn't require any funding, any special equipment. So every level, everyone could participate from the grassroots level, everyone. And then we wanted to empower, like, okay, but how can we do it? How can I be the change? How can I do any difference? So we wanted to provide this platform and give the participants the tools on how to do it. We wanted also to connect because sometimes everyone wants to do something, but then they don't know or they don't have the possibility to connect with the stakeholders, with the politicians, with the policymakers. So we wanted to be that organization that bridges the gap between the people and the stakeholders, the policymakers. And obviously, together, we wanted to transform. We wanted to transform the situation and obviously make better spaces. Okay, so we came up with this idea, the Move for Trees. Basically, what it is all about is we are kind of encouraging people and creating like activities for people to walk, run, ride a bike, mainly for short trips, because it would have been hard to ask them to, I don't know, walk for 3 kilometers, even though maybe in bigger cities you can walk 3 kilometers. But given the Maltese context, it's usually a little bit hilly, and the weather is always like over 20 degrees. So sometimes it's very hard. So at least we make small steps and small efforts. Then we ask the participants to record their kilometers on any app of their choice, like could be anything, and then send us a screenshot of their journey. We recorded the kilometers that we were kind of receiving. It could be just 1 kilometer, it could be 100, it could be 10. So with every 50 kilometers that we were kind of receiving, we kind of, how do you say, exchange them for a tree with the HSBC bank. So basically, instead of putting money in the bank, we were putting the kilometers that we were receiving, and in exchange, the bank gave us money to plant the trees. I'm going to share with you a very short video. Maybe it explains better how the initiative works. I hope that the video will work now. Let me know if you can hear it. Just a second.
Cynthia, we can't hear it. Did you share the sound when you started screen sharing? So when you share, on the top right-hand corner, you can say that I'm going to share sound as well. Would you like to try that and stop sharing and then resharing for the complete experience?
I hope you managed to hear the sound of the video. I wasn't sure about it.
No, we couldn't, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry.
So
maybe we share the link in the.
That would be lovely. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, so basically after kind of this communication, a lot of, how do you say, meetings with the community, even if it was just something informal, meeting 2 members of the community for a coffee, the community started to take, and people started to take action. Some residents like created a group on some apps, so that is that when someone walks or runs, they donate their kilometers on this app that was like a joint community, I would say like a savings account. And they were proud because they were saying, oh, okay, the community of, let's say, this city managed to collect 50,000 kilometers, and we will be planting the trees in our community. And this is I would like to share with you some pictures. All these people like cycled, walked, donated their kilometers. In return, the trees were either planted in their community, in their schools. We also organized like cycling lessons for those who do not know how to ride a bike. So it was a whole community, even with migrants and refugees. We managed to get them involved. We organized like cycling activities. It was a whole community thing, and that's what I see the beautiful thing about this initiative, rather than it was like an initiative by the local council and then the residents or the community just follows. It was the other way around, like the community was coming up with the activities, and also encouraging other members who maybe usually are not so active, maybe to join them for a walk, for a run. And then there were these like subtle challenges between the communities: who is going to collect the most kilometers, who is going to plant more trees in their community, even with schools. So the impact so far is that we managed to receive actually 200,000 kilometers, which are CO2 free. Otherwise, all these kilometers would have been made by a car, I suppose. These were exchanged with 3,000 trees, which were then planted across many locations and schools and public spaces in Malta. And they were planted by the residents themselves. So we didn't, entail any extra costs for someone to plant the trees, to do the pre-maintenance, to get everything planted. So that was the residents' effort. As I said, these were planted in more than 60 schools and public spaces. Obviously, the impact is we have more active and healthy communities. There's still way to go, but at least we started moving a little bit, small steps. And obviously, it has a very wow effect. First of all, because I believe this is an initiative that really connects the people, the community, the residents, the true soul of the city, of the neighborhood, with, let's say, the policymakers, who usually they are on two different levels. So this is something very positive, even with the schools. Like the students were trying their best to come to school, maybe not letting their mom drop them to school because they wanted to walk. Some of the teachers facilitated this and created like a lock chart, so that when a kid walks to school, it was like a coloring system. And when the color is the trees are all colored, it was like they fill in the leaves of a tree. That means they have collected a tree. So, and something that is very important is that so here I would like to share this photo, because the photo on the left is like the size of the sapling, we would call it. Maybe we planted that 2 years ago, something like that, or 2.5 years ago. And the photo on the right is obviously the same sapling after 2 years. So, you start seeing that, there is actually something and changes happening. And here I would like to share with you how we think we got it right after getting it wrong many times. Like, some initiatives, maybe they are not sustainable, or somewhere along the line you see that it's not making sense. But this initiative seems to be well received. And also, like, we had a pilot test before this. It was very successful. So the bank decided to support us with more trees. And now we're also discussing with the bank to even more support us with more and more trees. So I believe the first step is to have a great idea that obviously makes sense for your context, because maybe this worked in Malta, but maybe to implement it in another country, you might need to tweak a bit the idea. Okay, this is not working, but it's okay. So step 2 is to obviously find the right partners, the right stakeholder, the right support, the right community, a good collaboration with policymakers, because that's the key. You have the foundation ready there. I believe step 3 is to have a very good communication campaign. If the people are not understanding why you are doing this, why you want them, or why collaboratively we need to do this, they will not participate. So it's important to communicate and maybe make people aware of the need to do this, not just because for themselves, but this is something for not just for Malta, but for it's something global. And then step 4, obviously, you need to communicate this and work with the community. And when I say work with the community, it's not just having maybe one workshop to introduce the project and that's it, but it's like mentoring all the time, like being always available. I received like phone calls at 9 in the evening. Sometimes it's something positive, sometimes something less positive, because maybe one resident wants to plant some trees in this area and the other residents want them in that area. So, you know, these small things, but you have to be all the time there. I believe that that's when the community know that there's someone who is listening to them, they become more interested and they want to help, because they know that they're part of a bigger community. And step 5, this is very important, sustainability. And I don't want to use the word sustainability as a cliche, but what we found that really, really worked and left an impact, both with the residents, the community, the policymaker, the bank, who is kind of giving us the support, is to see the results, but not stop there. Because first of all, when we were planning to plant the trees, we didn't just find a place and said, okay, we're going to plant the trees there, but we wanted to make sure there is water, they are going to be sustainable, someone is going to take care of the trees, because we didn't want to do this just for pictures, just for our reports to say, okay, we planted 3,000 trees. We wanted the trees to remain there. So that's very, very important. And once everyone saw that this is something that is sustainable, everyone provided more and more support. And something that we really also found that worked is that wherever we planted the trees, we put this, like we call it a plaque, and we write down who kind of worked for these trees. In this case, they were a group of students who cycled to school, to the college. They gathered X amount of kilometers, and those kilometers were planted by the student themselves at the college. And we found this, that, you know, there's something that kind of they are going to be proud of. And well, I guess we would love to see this initiative, you know, in other countries. So let's bring Move for Trees to your community if someone sees that this makes sense for their context. Well, I hope this was of a bit of inspiration, and thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Cynthia, so much. It already sparked many questions. Many people wanted to know that where did you get the trees from and who paid for them? I think partly you answered, but maybe if you could just dig a bit deeper into this, because that was a common topic that people asked. That might be helpful.
Okay, so from where we got the trees?
Yes, and who paid for those trees?
Okay, so yes, a very interesting, good question. So as explained before, the bank paid for the trees, but we got the trees from someone who actually it's another NGO. They collect the seeds from native trees. Obviously they care for them, and once they are like small saplings, they plant them. So actually, although the bank was supporting the, let's say, the purchase of these trees, we were also helping another NGO because we were like transferring the money actually to this other NGO, that with this money they were going to kind of continue taking care of more and more trees. So it's like like a circular. I don't know how to explain this. I can't find the right word. And then once these trees actually grow, and some of them they're already making bearing some fruit, and this person who is responsible of the other NGO will go again and take the seeds. It's like it's like a whole cycle thing. And also some residents, they had like small saplings or something that they could plant. So this is why I said, okay, maybe the money is coming from the HSBC, but the residents also like gave their input, and whoever could provide, a branch or something, and like something from the seeds. And kids at school were giving like small seeds to grow at home, and once they were like, I would say 10 centimeters strong enough to plant them, they were planting them. So this was like a whole cycle thing. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. And it's really amazing to see how it was also a cooperation between another environmentally friendly or my NGO.
Yeah.
There are people who are asking if what kind of app did you use, and also if it's possible to use mice from water sports.
Yes, actually, we wanted to create an app, but I was told, because I'm not into IT and all this stuff, I was told that to create an app, it's very, very expensive. So we decided to, well, it was a little bit of more work for us, but it was okay. So this is why I said everyone could use any app of their choice, like whatever you use whenever you go walking, running. And then they just took a screenshot of their journey and we had like a form on our website. We received the name, some basic details of the person, and the screenshot, because obviously we wanted to see that they actually did the activity, and it wasn't just, they just log in and say, hey, I did 20 kilometers. And whenever we had like activities with schools, like maybe they went trekking or something like that, the teacher used to take track of the activity. So let's say they walked, I don't know, 10 kilometers. And then the teacher sent us the screenshot of the 10 kilometers, and we multiply it by, let's say, 100 students. So that's how it worked with community activities and with schools. I know it's very basic. Maybe later on we will manage to have this app, but this is a good start on how you can do something with, a minimum budget, not spending much, and the impact, I believe it's huge. I believe there was another question, but I forgot.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that was it. Because also about the miles of water sports that
Yes,
will be collected.
actually, we had someone who was very keen on kayaking, and this person wanted to donate her kilometers. So yes, we accepted it because I mean, it's not about like exactly precisely how many kilometers you did, but the will to be part of something and to participate.
Thank you so much. We have got one
Welcome.
more question. And thanks for answering really how nicely you kept this thing that really building an app, and why would you build an app? Because already tons of apps exist. So it was really a very simple and super amazing solution that you have chosen.
And if I may, my last comment is, at one point it was very easy for us to get a sponsor and say, okay, for whoever gets, I don't know, donates 50 kilometers, we will give him a voucher or can spend have some discount at some shop. But we didn't want that. We want it to be a collective effort. So if you're doing something, it's not for you. It's not to gain something personally, but to donate back. So we wanted to make this, this message to come across, that what we do and our impact is just not individual, but as a, part of a society, part of the world, I would say. This was the message of the campaign.
Thank you so much. One more question,
Welcome.
and then we are going to go to our next and last panelist, Helena from Norway. One more question. They ask if this initiative began through HSBC, or did you contact them during the planning process while looking for funding? And was it a specific HSBC program, or you were already inspired by this project, or how did whole thing began? Please just answer briefly.
No, it was us who contacted HSBC,
Okay.
and they accepted.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
It is really amazing to see how local initiatives can really scale and reach so many people in Malta. Before we start Helena's last talk, we'd like to again ask you just a very quick poll, one short question about what do you think what are the places that could become a hub for local climate action? Is it schools, museums, shopping centers, sports arenas, public parks, any other that you would think? Also, then you can add it to the chat. But when you think of local climate action hubs, which one is the first that comes to your mind? Is it a school, a museum, shopping center, sports arena, public parks? What would be your obvious choice? And then let's see what people think. And then with that, I would like to pass the ball to Helena.
Yes, while I'm finding my presentation, I'm
sorry, that we can still look at the yes while you are setting up. Yes, so schools is 50%, shopping centers, sport arenas, public parks. Does this answer surprise you, or is it in line with what you also thought about hubs earlier?
I'm just quite excited because I'm going to prove you all wrong.
Exactly, it's so nice.
0% said museums, and I have some very good museum stories to tell you. I did share in the chat some brand new news from only 2 days ago that the EEA grants have been renewed. So there will be a lot of funding opportunities for collaborations with Norway. So please check out that link. I also changed in my last slide, you will have all my contact information, but my email address is also in my Zoom name here. So don't hesitate to reach out for collaborations. And then with that, I'll start telling you why museums can be the shit for climate action as well. So I've been doing this kind of community / climate / environment / placemaking, whatever, work for the last almost 20 years. And I'm at a stage where like the frustration has to be about like figuring out how to scale up and make an impact. So a few months ago, I started a new job in a local museum. And I will tell you why I started working in a local museum. And I think it's because that's where I'm currently am. That's where I can replicate and scale, and I can invade and infect those that are not usually involved and engaged. And engage people to just also continuously train our democratic muscles, because democracy is falling apart quicker than the climate. So it's really urgent that we tackle multiple issues at the same time. So I'm in charge of two different museums in suburban Oslo. One is a posh manor, and one is an old farm, and they're both in like agricultural areas that have become urbanized over the last 50 years. So they've gone through massive transformations, and there's just like the connection to the terrain and to the surroundings has been completely lost. In the second museum, the rural museum, for instance, it's in a municipality that has 60% immigrants. And the ones that are not immigrants are from somewhere else in Norway. So nobody has a connection to the local sort of traditional history and identity, which means that we have an opportunity to rewrite the role of the museums. We still do museum things, and this is from the manor. We still do the sort of typical tours that upper middle class people with high cultural capital enjoy doing. But that's a very small percentage of the actual neighbors living in our neighborhoods. So we want to rethink what these museums can be, that they're more than just places to look at old things, but they can be, and they are becoming, centers of modern neighborhoods, places to connect with each other, to connect with nature, to connect with time and place, and to build shared identities. And I think without these pieces, you can't get any climate action started. So it's a great opportunity that too few people are taking advantage of. So the left is an aerial photo of this posh manor about 10 years ago. And on the right is a couple of years ago. So up until about 10 years ago, there was like barbed wire fences around the museum. And there was an angry caretaker who would like chase people away. And then they made some changes and decided, okay, let's open up and let's collaborate with the municipality and the district and the neighborhood. They've developed a huge community garden, and now the outdoors are much more connected to the community than the indoors. And it's really become like a favorite location for people in the neighborhood. This all happened, everything I'm going to tell you happened before I started working there. So I take no credit for it, but I see it as a fantastic starting point for a lot of cool stuff happening. So a lot of the local kindergartens use the outdoor spaces for play areas. There's school gardens, educational gardens. So there's kids coming and going all the time, every day during the daytime. During the summer, we have work programs with local teenagers that help out in the community garden. And throughout the entire summer season, we also have a collaboration with an NGO that works with the drug users, providing work opportunities for a really vulnerable community. And without them, we wouldn't have been able to maintain the entire park around at a very low cost around the manor. And part of what they do is they also help us make apple juice from the historical apple trees in the orchard. A year ago, we built a huge public chicken coop, and actually right next door to the shopping center, to the museum, is a shopping center. So we feed these chickens with vegetable leftovers from the supermarket in the shopping center. And it's just also become like another attraction for the local kids to hang out. It's a place for socially minded and environmentally conscious startups. So this, for instance, is from a florist who grows cut flowers for bouquets, but also for harvesting. And this is like one of those businesses that are surprisingly toxic if you don't buy it locally. Like if you fly in, like the regular roses you buy that are flown in from Kenya or South America and that are just swimming in toxins their entire lives. This is one of those small things that can make a difference. There's a climbing park that's open to the public 24/7, especially during the weekends. It's really popular. And we have events during the entire year. So we have a huge Halloween festival, which has more than, I think last year it had almost 4,000 guests. But we have like a historical topic around it. So we will tell some stories about the history, or we will have some periodically correct dressed ghosts. Or one year the topic was the Black Plague. So it was, we tried to have it a little bit educational as well, but it's actually quite scary and it's become quite famous. It's actually a biodiversity hub because it's been quite untouched for a long time. So one thing is maintaining the biodiversity there, but it's also to use it for educational purposes. So here's a small group of local school children that are helping to do a biodiversity mapping. They're identifying local insects that they're catching in the fields. We have markets this is the Christmas market. We have a spring plant market, like a harvest season market, and there's also a farmers market that comes once a month. And then we also collaborate with other partners to bring in free events into this area. Like this is an Oslo-wide movie festival in summer, and we host outdoor screenings of popular movies. We invite people in to just hang out, and we also try to connect with as many other initiatives happening locally as possible. For instance, this is a 5-kilometer like family run that happens once a year. So we just make sure that they run through our place so that people that may not know that we're open to the public find out about us. That they discover that this is like a green little paradise in the middle of high rises and a suburb from the 1970s, which really isn't very inspiring at all. And then all of this builds on like a very sort of central key placemaking principle, which is just give many people many different reasons to come. And then the sum of these people will mean that more people will come. So we're still a museum, but we're also a community-supported agriculture, the community garden, the chicken coop for the open spaces for the kids, the markets, like all of this, they all draw a little bit of people. It all helps people to connect. It helps people start a conversation with a neighbor that they may not know. But the sum of people coming for their own personal reason means that more people come. It's like this crazy math that doesn't make sense at all, but it is. We see it again and again. And I think the three most important things that we've learned, or why like museums, which 0% of you thought would be a relevant place to be, that we should think outside the box, because it will help us connect with different people. But then we also have to change our language, because quite a few of you now we're talking about sports, for instance. So when you're into sports, you talk about the public health benefits. I often have to use different words. I have to talk about like the traditions and cultural heritage and identity and like different words. But that can also open other funding opportunities. And then the second, which is I think it's an important emerging topic, is crisis preparedness. So in Norway, we're talking more and more, especially over the last year and a half, about how do we prepare not just for climate incidences, but also for war. You may not remember it when you look at it from like the lower part of Europe, but we have a border with Russia all the way up north. It's a very short border, but we do border with Russia. So we are talking very differently about how are we preparing as a society and how do we build resilient societies. And up until a year and a half ago, the government was talking about we should all have bottled water at home, we should have dried goods, we should have matches, a battery radio, and like the items. But lately they've started talking more and more about like, who is your preparedness buddy? Who can you share resources with during a crisis? And who should you look after if there's a crisis? And who can look after you? Realizing that the government, like if there's a flooding or if there's an invasion or if something crazy happens, we cannot expect everybody to individually take care of themselves and we will all be fine. But we actually have to like reconnect. And places that like these civil infrastructures that I call them, which can be a playground or a museum or a school or a civic center or any sort of community owned, directly or indirectly, but not privately owned, place that people can meet if something happens. We should really, really, really cultivate that so that in my community at Linderud, in the manner, so that I know as a museum director that if something crazy happens in this community, a lot of people know that the safe place to go and meet people can be at the museum. That is a place where they know a lot of people. And also, it's also a place where a lot of people have skills. So it's also about like keeping the skills alive of gardening, of cooking, of making things yourself, of fixing things, like things that maybe aren't typical museum activities, but are really about the intangible cultural heritage, keeping alive local knowledge and local skills. What wild plants are edible, for instance. We have a lot of, we have compost courses, we have gardening courses, we teach people to, what's it called in English, like when you trim the fruit trees. We have all these like practical skills to help people manage in a world that could become very different. And then the third and maybe most importantly is that when we start to have community engagement, we have to be really, really, really considerate about how we do it. Because if we have a participation activity and we don't respect the outcomes, then we will actually generate less faith in participation among the participants. And democracy is already very vulnerable. So we have to be very conscious about it. So it's not, participatory activities shouldn't be something that's done every 6 years when there's a municipal program happening or when we got small funding to do some activities. It should be something that happens continuously. And I think a good parallel is to sports. Like you don't go to the Olympics every 4 years expecting to win unless you've done the exercise regularly. And the same with elections. We don't have elections every 4 years expecting people to show up if they haven't felt seen or heard or have understood the importance of speaking your voice and looking after your community. So I think we have to be really, really conscious about as placemakers and as community activists, like how do we build the long lines? That's why I was really happy to see the German presentation that showed so many projects that lasted for a long time, because that's when you build relationships and yeah, you just build good connections. So I said museums, but there's a lot of these underused infrastructures, places that already exist that we don't need to build. Like we don't need, millions of euros to build a new culture hub, for instance. There's all these places that we could already use. We could be better at using libraries. We could be better at using schoolyards, parking lots, parks, shopping centers, senior centers, retirement homes, kindergartens, playgrounds, churches and mosques, sport clubs, health centers, even offices outside of business hours. So there's all these places that we can fill with content and that we can fill with community activities. And the whole point of these community activities is to make it easy for people to talk to each other. And that's how you start building the community and building the resilience that we need moving forward. this is a very, very short presentation. I could talk for hours about all this stuff, but I really encourage you to screenshot my contact information. And don't hesitate to contact me if you want to look at some funding opportunities together. And then I'm happy to answer your questions. And if not, I know that Kata is also keen to round up, so we have the final round of discussions before we end the session.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really amazing, Helena. While we are waiting for the other questions to come in, I was just wondering if someone wanted to take one small action based on what you have been just talking today. What do you suggest? What would be the first small step that they would take action today, inspired by what you've been saying?
Look in your community for what's already there. Before this museum job, I've been working a lot with the local high schools and the school grounds outside of the schools that are empty from when school's out, and it's all usually empty in the weekends as well. So that's another example of a place that's already there. It's owned by the citizens because it's public. So there's looking around ourselves that there is a lot of spaces that we can just use so much better. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I've placed the links that you have shown, but meanwhile, Elena asks about conflicts between people. Have you seen anything, or you think that people need to learn about this?
Yeah, I have good and bad experiences with that. I had one project where we were setting up the municipality contacted us to use a former kindergarten and transform it into a community garden space, but the local neighbors had used it as a dog park. And then the neighbors had complained because of the noise of all the dogs. And then, yeah, we were just basically brought in, the municipality pushed us in ahead of themselves so they wouldn't get in trouble. These dog people were the most passive aggressive, angry people because they were being kicked out of their space. And they're being so rude to our teenagers that were working with us. And they were, they would actively like smoke and put their cigarette butts in like where the teenagers were gardening, for instance. But the only way to fix that is to kill them with kindness. Just be super nice, and yeah, it's the only way. And then there's also, of course, like workshop facilitation strategies of making sure that you invite them in, but also making sure that you facilitate it in a way so that they understand that, yes, they have a very strong opinion and they are heard, but there's a lot of people here that have other ideas, but that requires that a really solid facilitator plan, knowing that there will be a couple of troublemakers and they will be very vocal. So you have to be prepared for that in your actions.
Thank you so much. For sure, it was really important to hear. For us, really, future isn't something that we wait for, right? So it's something that we co-create into existence altogether. And how you mentioned kindness or fight with kindness, it also really resonated. I am curious if there are more questions to Helena within the group. Or I would be really interested to know what is your biggest takeaway from today's session. So we have heard a great amount of different mix of community actions, and I would really love to know, or we would really love to know, what is your biggest takeaway. If you would have 100K just also given to you, what would you fund first? Or what are the questions that you think that was really important to think about? I'm gonna give you time to answer this. This is not not super straightforward, I guess. You need to think about that based on the talks that you just heard, what are the first things that came to your mind? What are you inspired to do right now? What do you think that would improve public health through space in your community? What would you fund first if you would have 10K? Or what is the biggest takeaway that you have from today's sessions? Please share. Would love to hear. Also, many people say that when you already think about what is your biggest takeaway, what's going to be your next action, what are you going to do, then you already will do it because there is some kind of commitment already. So this might be your commitment to start to build something, because we don't need perfect solutions. We need people willing to start and try and build the momentum together. So Rumi, do we have answers that we can show so that people can see that what the biggest takeaways? I know it's not like we could see that. We could just see that people had answers. So probably this is something that that Veselina and the team will communicate via its social channels. And yeah, before you leave, I still would like to encourage you to share whatever thoughts you might have now, so that our speakers can reflect on it, can answer your questions that you might have. And when you leave, you will have a question asking about the webinar. Please answer those. That's super important for us to know. How did you like it? What you would like to hear about next? So it will give us a great opportunity to know how you liked the current content, the speakers, how happy you are with everything that you learned today, how well spent you think that this 2 hours was together here. So we are really very grateful that you've been here. All, please follow BGB Active, follow our speakers, use the toolkits that have been shared. Veselina, what else can we encourage people to do?
A great reminder we have here at the chat. We can keep in touch and help each other. I think as a message and the initiative shared, all different, but at the same time in their core, they're human orientated, they're nature orientated, they're about all of us being together in a better place, having better relationships with each other, with the planet and with the surroundings around us. So for me, it was really inspiring. This is not just policy and words that maybe sound difficult to be understood. These were ways that can actually inspire us and try to do things even on a small scale. And when we get together and when we do more kind of little steps towards that kind of a goal, I think that it would be a lot more different to communicate with people, to be in your community, and to have the belief and the idea that something depends on you and you can change something. And usually that happens when we get together. So it was a really inspiring and nice comment. Of course, all of us, we are like a network. I believe that people meet twice in that kind of in this kind of sphere, and most things that we usually do. So of course, we're going to do that. Keep in touch. And thank you so much for the presentations, for being with us today. Thematically, today was actually the Earth Day. So each of us did something to, to get encouraged get encouraged to do small steps. So thank you so much for being here today, for supporting the event, for sharing your experiences, Kata, all of our speakers, and last but not least, all the people that took the time and 2 hours from their day on the Earth Day to dedicate to our topic. For me, it was extraordinary experience to hear what each of you is doing in your country and whenever you can to mitigate climate, to put people together and to change limiting beliefs that nothing cannot be done, you know, from the bottom to the top. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Veselina, for bringing all of us together. It was really amazing how you put together these amazing speakers. They all inspired in a different way, but we have so much food of thought that we can now start implementing that it is just really amazing. The value per minute was so high. That is
Absolutely.
rarely experienced. Thank you so much for all of the attendance, and then see you next time.
See you next time. We are keeping in touch. Have a great day.